How we doing, everyone? And welcome back to the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Happy 4th of July to everyone. I hope you guys really enjoyed some fireworks, hopefully some good food, and being around the people you want to be around. I myself was at my brother's house, and my brother has become quite the grill master. I ate really well today. Got to hang out with the Rents, my nephew and niece. Played a little 2K with my nephew. Had to show him who's boss. Running with the Knicks, I kind of whooped up on this guy LeBron. But yeah, really had a great day today, and want to speak on a lot of topics. Today is the 83rd anniversary from Lou Gehrig's famous speech. Gonna hit on the Kevin Durant rumors that have him potentially going back to the defending world champion Golden State Warriors, Brooklyn, possibly dealing him. Gonna have a guest joining me in a little while to hit on some NFL hot takes. And the king of wrestling and the king of wrestling promotions, Mr. Vince McMahon, is definitely swimming in some hot water. So we're going to hit on some of that. But we're going to start right here with a very iconic speech. On this day in 1939, Lou Gehrig had an appreciation day at the original Yankee Stadium. And I think it was iconic for a lot of reasons. At the time, the disease, which ultimately was named after him, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, which debilitates the muscles, it was something at the time that wasn't really heard of, especially with someone that was such a public figure. His impact, even in the speech, was incredible when you consider the kind of pain that the man was in. He never really elaborated on the kind of pain that the man was in. He'd refused to, play victim. Won 6 world championships on some of the greatest teams in the history of the New York Yankees. Protected the great Babe Ruth in that lineup. And I think what I take away from watching the speech today on YouTube and just kind of revisiting it myself was that, to my knowledge, it's truly the first time that a sports icon was viewed in such a vulnerable way. And I think that is one of the things that truly resonates with a lot of people when watching that, and also just the bravery aspect of it. Lou Gehrig by no means was a perfect man. He suffered from alcoholism. He had other issues as well. But in terms of the player and in terms of the impact, second to none. And the most impressive stat of all is the 2,130 games played, which many years later was broken by also another great Hall of Famer, Cal Ripken. But the Iron Horse, Lou Gehrig, definitely leaving an indelible mark in the minds of baseball fans and just people in general. And while we're on the topic of a great New York Yankee, I want to veer it over and speak on someone who is not exactly lighting things up. Why is Joey Gallo still a Yankee? One of the worst slumps I've seen from a professional player since Chris Davis. To try to sum it up short and sweet, given Gallo's contract, which is $10 million a year, this is the final year of his contract. He was traded to the Yankees last year from the Texas Rangers. I believe that the Yankees have been trying to stall and hope that he can catch some fire. Historically, he has never hit for average. He's always managed to get on base via the walk or the long ball, and is always amongst the league leaders in strikeouts. But this has been painful to watch. Miguel Andujar, it's been a very controversial topic amongst Yankee fans, has been constantly getting pushed up and down in the minor leagues. And he may very well be a trade chip for the New York Yankees in the near future. And however the Yankees plan to navigate this, I do not see Joey Gallo as being a member of the team for the entire year. I do believe that ultimately they will DFA him and just pay the remainder of his contract. Season is about halfway done. And, with the deadline coming up, you have a lot of contenders that are vying for position, filling up holes in their lineups, in their rotations. And there are a lot of variables that go into figuring out where a lot of these players are going to go. But my thoughts briefly on where some of these guys are going to go. Andrew Benintendi, who can basically help any lineup in terms of speed, defense, and locker room leadership. I do believe that both the New York Yankees and the New York Mets are going to be players looking to add him. Wilson Contreras, currently of the Chicago Cubs. Again, the New York Mets, one of their weakest positions. In the Yankees' case, they're not getting the greatest production. Jose Trevino, in my opinion, has been playing over his head. I think the biggest reason why the Yankees will not alter anything with the catching game is because they have helped the pitching staff so much in the absence of Gary Sanchez. Happ, also a member of the Chicago Cubs. Same two teams can be honing in on him. And essentially just other teams that are looking for more bats. I do believe that the Atlanta Braves can potentially. Richard Dorning, what's up, buddy? Yeah, Yanks have the best chance. I'm assuming you're speaking on Benintendi. Yes, I do agree with you there. Having said that, Santander potentially going to your team, the New York Mets. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, and also injuries play a part. Also in the Mets case, I do believe that they're going to need some bullpen help. Former New York Yankee twice and former world champion with them, David Robertson, may also be a guy that can help out the Mets. I think in the Mets case, they're getting back Max Scherzer tomorrow. Jacob deGrom's not far behind. He's actually playing in the minors right now, getting his arm ready. And a friend of the show, Mark Principe, kind of a cool story. His nephew actually participated in that game, playing first base today in a game that deGrom pitched, so that's definitely cool. But these are players that will all probably be moved, and fantasy owners should be happy because they're going to be joining much better lineups than the ones that they currently play in. This here is tough. Mike Trout, probably the greatest player of this current generation. And he just keeps losing. His teams have been run so poorly. Bad contracts galore. The great Albert Pujols. Fulmer back to Detroit. Bullpen help for the Mets. Yeah, I can see that, Rich. Absolutely, I can see that. Mike Trout, it's sad. I myself was kind of fooled going into the season. I thought the Los Angeles Angels were going to be more of a contender and push the Houston Astros. That has not happened. Shohei Ohtani is having a phenomenal season. Their best pitcher, and he was off to a slow offensive start, but the guy is incredible for what he can offer any team. But I would like to see Mike Trout move on from the Angels. He's very loyal, and I think that's admirable on his part. He could have left for other teams. He's grew up a Yankee fan. Things could have been easier for him. But to see a generational talent like Mike Trout wasting away and not winning, it's kind of eerily similar to what Ken Griffey Jr. went through once he left Seattle. And when you're a baseball fan, you want to see the best players playing in the best environments. And that obviously is the postseason on the grandest of stages. I had previously mentioned that Max Scherzer will be pitching tomorrow. He's been out for the better part of a month and a half. Definitely going to help bolster that Mets starting rotation. And also Fernando Tatis, another guy. I actually have both these guys on my fantasy squad. Fernando Tatis, definitely going to be welcomed by the San Diego Padres as they continue to chase down the Los Angeles Dodgers. Similar to last year in that division. Last year it was the Giants and Dodgers. I do believe that can go down to the final week of the season. not only to potentially decide home field, of course, the Mets are going to have something to say about that as well, but also just dominance going into the final stretch, because, you know, the Atlanta Braves proved last year that you don't have to have the best record to necessarily raise the trophy at the end. In the Mets case, I think it's huge that Jake and Max are returning. DeGrom has had a horrible track record of staying healthy. But because of the fact that he was injured earlier in the year, I'm sure it will be welcomed by Met fans to have him for that stretch run. And, you know, regardless of who you root for, you want the best players playing. So I wish him health and success at the same time, although I'm a Yankee fan. The thoughts of the Subway Series would be pretty incredible. I'm going to veer it over to another big story. Kevin Durant, arguably the best player in the NBA currently, he wants out of Brooklyn. And I have strong feelings about this. He wanted Harden to join him in Brooklyn. The Nets did that. Harden's now in Philly. He was traded for Ben Simmons. In my opinion, two very lazy players. One problem replaces another. He made it clear to the Nets front office that he wanted Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was a Net. Now, he didn't play for a good while because of his refusal to get the vaccine. And I will say this. Oh, we got my guest coming in. Q, what's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Hey, what's going on, man?
I was in the process of speaking on Kevin Durant and possibly who the best trade partners are. Before I'm going to veer off this for a moment. Last time we had you on the show, I was actually still a member of the Jordan Patrick Show. So I'd like you to reintroduce yourself to everyone and let them know what you're about here, Q.
All right, Mr. Moore himself, the legendary Mask one. Yes, he's unmasked. He is in hibernation right now, but he will be back in August and September. He's on vacation. He texted me today, wishing me happy 4th of July, and he will be back in full effect. He left a little memento for me to let me know that he was still watching what I do and watching the presence of everything else. Yeah, Giants, Giants football guy here,
Super fan, bro.
Yeah,
Super fan.
one of many, not a super fan, not the super fan, but one of many.
One of many.
One of, logical and most passionate people, on the planet, when it comes to our New York Giants, because I mean, football is what we live for. Technically, I couldn't even watch the USFL because it wasn't the right season.
Yeah, it wasn't the right season, and it wasn't the right product either. I mean, I love guys chasing the dream, and I get it. We're gonna hit on football just a moment. I wanna dive in on this, and I do believe that you might have something to say here. I was in the process of saying how Kevin Durant, my buddy Richie Dorney's following the show right now. He said Kyrie Durant deserved nothing. This is the new NBA where everyone wants to play with their buddies, and when things go awry, there is absolutely no loyalty to the plan that they asked to get set up around them. In this case, I do feel that Kevin Durant, while probably the most talented player in the league, is sticking it to Brooklyn. Kyrie picked up the remainder of the contract. It was a player option. He wants out. And Kevin Durant, when you look at the best trade partner, and I posted here that Rudy Gobert, who is a one side of the floor player, I mean, his offense is respectable, but that's a defensive player. When you're getting 5 picks for a guy like that, just to put it in perspective, that would be like if we're in the 90s and you're giving up 5 picks to go get Dikembe Mutombo. This isn't Hakeem Olajuwon at the center position. The reason I bring up Gobert, the asking price for Durant is going to be absurd from Brooklyn. I mean, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm not letting him go away for free. I'm going to make sure that I'm raping Golden State for all of their young cast if they want to put back
That's if he goes to Golden State. He may end up in LA with LeBron.
that. Ooh, that would be
Because
something too.
yeah, I pay attention to basketball even though I don't really watch it because the product to me is just so watered down and horrible. Um, I'm more of like the basketball in the 80s and 90s where it was more physical. Here, everybody's wanting to shake your hand, be friends, and buddy. I'm like, that's not your buddy, man. You buddies off the court. You don't sit here, hey man, great shot, yeah, shaking hands, while you're on the court, man. That's your
Little too much
competition.
love. Little too
Yeah,
much
too
love. I
much
mean, and
love,
even in the
right?
Lakers series, they put on full display how much it's changed. I mean, in the '80s, you look at teams like Dr. J Sixers, Magic's
Yeah,
Lakers, Larry
yeah,
Bird, and
yeah.
those were
Dominique
those.
Wilkins Hawks. I mean,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Bernard King
Different
and
era.
the Knicks.
Bernard King before the knee injuries. A
Yeah,
lot of things could have been different. Patrick Ewing, we know the story there. That one still hurts us as Knicks
right,
fans, but
right. Now
I'm going
it's
to make
more or
this.
less. I can't deal with it now because it's more along the lines of everybody's friends and you're doing this Euro step. I'm like, dude, that's traveling. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, the change in the rules definitely, like many sports now, favor the offensive players, but they have gone in a direction where it is truly geared for the offense, for the
Yeah,
casuals. I get it. I kind of got a love and hate with some of the NBA. I mean, I enjoy it to a level, not on the same regard as I am with baseball or even with football.
yeah,
Idris, my co-host, was unable to be here today, but I do want to get this going before we hit on the football side of things. He's got Kyrie going to the Lakers. I tend to agree. It's a little funny how things work out. It's like, you keep getting back with your ex. He's going back with LeBron, potentially. You yourself said maybe KD going to the Lakers. Another hot take from Idris. Idris got stuck, I believe, driving some people around. So I just told him, no sweat, bro. Get home safe. Russell Westbrook will have a career resurrection maybe in Brooklyn. That would support his first thought that it would be a straight-up trade, Russ for Kyrie. And his final one here. Durant will hurt his legacy. If he returns to Golden State, he may also end up in Portland to play with Dame. Durant's going back to the Warriors. That's my take on that. He's going to rejoin the Splash Brothers. If the Warriors are willing to get rid of that young roster, I myself would not do it.
no,
I think they've already proven they can win without him before he got there and after he left.
yeah,
And
and that's the thing. That's the thing. Now, with the youth movement that Golden State had and the incredible season that they've had, it was no wonder how they blew past Boston,
yeah,
in the championship. And I was
yeah.
like, well, uh, Steph Curry has submitted his legacy, pretty
He's chasing
much.
down Irvin at this point.
Yeah, basically. But now whoever's coming out of the East, Knicks ain't going. Honestly, the Knicks ain't until they get rid of James Dolan.
Oh my.
They ain't
Oh
gonna never
my.
get it right until they get rid of James Dolan. Let's get that on. Let's get that on the table right
What
now.
he did to Charles Oakley is deplorable.
Yeah,
Charles Oakley was the heartbeat of that team for over a decade, being Ewing's ace, taking a lot of heat for Ewing, taking a lot of punishment for Ewing to be the offensive player he was. Dolan is the typical rich asshole owner that does not understand how great of a fan base those people are and their hard-earned money every year going into that place, making it the mecca and making it the environment that it was for so many years. So many NBA record sellouts back in the golden era of the Knicks, outside of the 70s, of course.
yeah,
But yeah, the Knicks, I like Brunson as a player, but they're going to need more. And Julius Randle is not a superstar. He is an all-star. There is a
yeah.
difference.
Hell, even here in Atlanta where I live, the Hawks, they would talk about KD, and talk radio here. I listen to talk radio here when I'm in the car driving, just to see what they're talking about. Because here in Atlanta, this market, they're all about the Falcons, the Bulldogs, the Hawks,
The Bulldogs are the ones to invest in.
yeah, yeah,
Great program.
yeah. And the Falcons. I'm like, the Falcons are trash. The Hawks are trash. The Braves, they're gonna catch the Mets.
Yeah, you heard it there, Rich. Let's see if Rich is still following
They're
you.
gonna
But
catch
yeah,
the Mets. I've been a Braves fan since the days of like Dale Murphy, Bob Horner, Chris Chambliss. I remember that Atlanta Fulton County Stadium when I used to come down.
where Dion played 2 games in one
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Falcons,
yeah.
and then participated in the World Series.
Yeah,
That was
they're gonna
pretty
catch
cool.
the Mets. They're gonna catch the Mets. They're like what 3-4 games behind, and it ain't even an All-Star break yet. Yeah, they're gonna catch the Mets. They're gonna surpass the Mets, and they're probably gonna end up winning that division once again
Ooh,
and
that's a hot
making a
take
run.
right there.
And
That is
making a
definitely a
run.
hot take.
Yeah,
I am
and making
not
a
sure
run
if I
for it.
completely agree, but I will say this: the Mets are getting back their 2 best arms. One of them tomorrow, and Max Scherzer. But to
Yeah,
your point, when you allow the defending champions back in it, it is a little scary. Whether they do or not catch the Mets, I think they're both going to the playoffs, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of good drama coming down the pike in October. But
yeah. But they're gonna
let's
catch
talk.
the Mets. Trust me, they'll catch the Mets because number one, they have Brian Snick is their manager. That guy is a phenomenal manager. That guy is a great manager. Okay.
Under the
Uh,
radar still, even though they ran the
yeah,
table in the playoffs,
yeah,
still kind of the roster in general. They lost Freeman. That was
yeah,
kind of a shitty situation with his agent. I think
yeah.
if Freddie got better advice from a better person, he'd still
He
be
would
the
have stayed.
face
He
over
would
there
still have been in
along with
Atlanta.
Acuna.
Yeah, but he
That's
would have had to take
unfortunate.
less money. He would have had to take less money because what they were looking for, I guess what he wanted was a max contract. And
Right.
and I'm like, dude, you're like 30 some odd years old. You're not going to get a max deal. You've
That's the
already
fear with
accumulated.
Aaron Judge right now.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not even about the money so much more versus the years. The Yankees are not willing to put 10 on it. I believe the sweet spot is 8 years. He might have to eat the last year. Okay, he's getting old. But if he gives you 6 of 8 at the level he's on
yeah,
now, it's like anything else. You pay guys for what they already did, not necessarily what they're going to continue to do. And I
yeah,
understand the player's perspective too. They want to get that money because it's the last time they might get it like that. But we are going to speak on – I'm going to throw you some of my NFL hot takes. And on the fly, I know you, so I know that you'll be able to match some of these. I want to ask your thoughts right here, first and foremost. The Patriots and Dolphins will both miss the postseason this year. I believe you're looking at 8-9, 9-8, right in the middle in a very congested, very competitive AFC East.
yeah. Patriots, they're hit or miss. Dolphins, I don't see him going anywhere with Tua Tagovailoa, or whatever the hell his name is. I don't see them going anywhere with that quarterback.
And Reek is going to get frustrated when he sees that ain't Patty Mahomes back there anymore.
Right. And see, and that trade alone, when he left to go to Miami, I was like, damn, man, what the fuck is he doing? I didn't mean to curse, but I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
you can curse on it.
I was like, what the fuck
This
is he
ain't a
doing?
children's show. You can curse on it. There's no, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is he Tariq Hill doing? Dude, you got it good in KC.
The typical diva, bro.
Yeah, but again, he wants the money. But here's my thing. If you win, the money will come. If you perform, the money will come. That's the problem with the NFL nowadays. Everybody wants to be, paid top dollar, and you ain't winning shit. That's and that thing when we had that discussion with Odell Beckham in our chat room.
Yes, we did.
Odell everybody was saying that Odell, he's going to come back stronger than ever from his ACL. I said, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's a role player at this point in his career.
And a good one at that. He
Yeah,
has matured to the level that he wants to win. I give him that much. I do
Yeah.
think that he played his cards right, recognized the situation, but it took him a few weeks because I remember distinctly his first game in a Rams uniform. He bailed on a route on a primetime game against the hated Niners for them. They're big rivals, interstate rivals.
Yeah.
And I will say this. As a Giant fan, even though I did not appreciate a lot of Odell's antics, it was kind of nice to see him hit the pinnacle, even though he got hurt during the game, still performed well before the injury. I don't hate the man. I think everybody grows up on their own time. But from what I understand, him and McVay made kind of a deal that if he crashed McVay's wedding, he was going to be a member of the Rams again. Some kind of weird joke that these two guys had.
Yeah, he's probably going to get a series of 1-year deals. Of course, the 1-year deals, as we all know, are prove it deals. But him coming back to New York, I highly doubt that, because
it would have to be a weird circumstance where it's almost like literally the definition of a swan song.
He's not missing any money being out in LA, because
that's a good point.
LA is the second largest market in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they got more amenities technically than New York.
For sure. That is a fact.
Yeah, they got Hollywood out there. They got San Francisco's like 5 hours away from LA, and San Diego's like 3 hours from LA. So he's got a market there, built-in market there already, but he's not going to command the type of money he was getting in New York. He's going to command the attention due to the paparazzi and whatnot. But as far as top dollar, what he was getting in New York, no, he's not going to get that. 1-year deals typically he may just get league minimum at this point because of the 2 ACL tear, the injuries.
Getting hurt in the Super Bowl killed the notion that he was going to do anything past your point, the 1-year deal. The Rams do seem to like him enough where they might give him a little more than, say, market value.
Yeah.
But having said that, I do believe that he will be a Ram. And then it's basically when the Rams get tired of having him on the roster, then and only then, maybe you'll see him in a Jet or a Giant uniform. It wouldn't blow my mind, but it also isn't something I would hold my breath for.
And also, you got to realize how much cap hell that the Rams are in due to all these salaries they're paying out. They're in it now because Stafford is getting a grip now, a large grip.
Yes.
Donald, you just told me, I realized he resigned because, usually, I kind of like tune out of the NFL until August, and I start ramping it back up until February because I kind of like get away from the NFL so I don't get burned out.
I get it.
But I was like, oh, okay, so they re-signed Donald. But the two faces of the franchise, if you want to go 3, it would be Cooper Kupp, it would be Aaron Donald, and it would be Matthew Stafford.
Even Ramsey, who's quite the character in his own right, kind of overshadowed in that regard.
Yeah.
They recently lost Von Miller to the Buffalo Bills. That's going to be interesting. I think Buffalo gave them too many years. But you're talking about a team that hasn't won a Super Bowl. We all know their history in the 90s, losing to our team, the Cowboys, and the former Redskins. I understand why Buffalo did it. It's win now. I get it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Buffalo, to me, is going to be set back due to the fact that they lost Brian Daboll.
That does hurt. It gets overlooked sometimes.
It's going to be a setback. They're not going to be as dynamic as they once were because they should have beaten Kansas City. Damn
squib kick that didn't get – they should have just squibbed it. They should have just squibbed it.
Yeah. just squib it, keep the ball in bounds, don't let them get out of bounds, and pretty much ball game over. Because
Poor
Josh Allen,
coaching really led to a lot of
yeah,
those top seeds
yeah,
falling.
Josh Allen came into his own.
Oh
That
yeah,
game proved that he is a legitimate star in the league.
and that's what gives us hope
Yeah,
in the sense that we all know that Josh Allen didn't get it right away. Obviously, he's got it now, and by no means am I going to compare what we have to a Josh Allen, but the hope is that you can get some of that.
yeah.
And, with Kafka, with Dable,
You will get that. You will get that, but it won't be immediate like the
no,
fans think
no, no.
because this fan base is, I hate to say this fan base is stupid, but they are because they have this unrealistic expectation of how things work. And I'm like, no, this is not Madden, okay? This ain't where you just plug and play players and all of a sudden you got a winning roster. No, this team has to be built from the ground up because there are a lot of components that are still missing on this team. You
The
and plus
linebacking corps is one place to pick.
that's there you
Um,
go.
Watching the kid Aaron Robinson, who played at UCF. Now, while I'll be the last person that's going to tell you that I thought that he would be in the mix to be the starting corner in year 2, I'd be lying. I would not say that. But having said that, I do think he has the ability to compete.
Yeah, he does. He does. He was a good nickel corner. Um, he was good in the nickel. Now, Darnay Holmes, I would if I'm the Giants, I hold on to him
Absolutely.
because he's shown that he's consistent, he's reliable, and he's always going to show up the ball. Now, the loss of Bradbury is not going to hurt as much as people think it is. Bradbury, to me, was better in Carolina than he was with us because he was underutilized with us.
Because of the kind of defense that Patrick Graham ran. And we've spoken on this many times. And that's why I'm not going flip mode when it comes to Adoree Jackson, because I do believe that with this more aggressive style from a Wink Martindale, yes, we're going to get burned sometimes because we're going to be blitzing a lot more.
Yeah.
But the reward is gonna be stronger than the risk, in my opinion. And yes, we're gonna lose some games that might make you want to punch the window. But the truth of the matter is that this is the first time in a long time when you look at the draft, you look at the value of where they picked guys, 2 home runs in round 1. That hasn't happened in a very long time.
Right.
And even a guy like Saquon Barkley trying to get back to just some kind of semblance of what he was in 2018. Glowinski overshadowed in Indy because the other guy's name is Quentin Nelson. Right. Very good lineman, battle-tested. He don't miss games. Yeah. Max Garcia, Feliciano, these are proven veterans. Andrew Thomas is getting better every year.
And these people will determine DJ's fate.
Absolutely.
And because it's up to DJ now. He's got a line. He's got a competent line, which he has.
No more excuses.
No more excuses. And I'm sick and tired. And I hate to say this, but honestly, if he does not ball out, because again, I'm not going to go on a limb and say he's not going to do well or whatever. I want him to do well, exceptionally well.
Of course.
But the realism in me is more along the lines of if he has a mediocre year, if we go 6-11, then he's on the fence. He's probably going to be up out of here.
We got to win 8 games for him to be retained.
Yeah, for him to be retained.
And that's our peak, I think. I'm not saying that if things really bounce our way, they can't win 9 or 10. My opinion is 7 and 10 or 8 and 9. The schedule is favorable. That kind of leads into part of that too. And I just like the fact that we are on the road, like you said on the phone earlier, back to respectability. I had this lurking on the screen for a minute.
That's all I want is respectability. I don't give a shit about playoffs right now.
It's a 4-year plan, bro. It's a 4-year plan for sure.
Yeah.
3 to 4.
People are talking about, oh man, I want to go to the play. I'm like, look, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you do? "Oh, get up and go shower." I'm like, "No, you open your eyes. That's the first thing you do when you wake up. You open your eyes. You don't just get
Correct.
out of bed and just hop in the shower. You open your eyes first, survey your surroundings, and then you formulate plans in your head. That's the way
I,
this is. It's a step-by-step process."
I go like this. I look left, I look right, and usually I shouldn't be jumping, but I still do it. I might hit the Giants pride thing before I start it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Just saying, but you know. This I gotta hit on quickly. The Cowboys will miss the postseason. I might be reaching a little there. And Mike McCarthy will get canned at year's end. Sean Payton, in my opinion, wants that job.
Yep.
And I think Jerry might get out of the way and actually let him have more input, kind of like the way that Steinbrenner did when he got past his own bullshit, because, that is Jerry Jones's hero, the late, great George Steinbrenner. Late and great for certain reasons. Late and great for certain reasons, but you look at how the Yankees got cultivated when they started kicking ass in the 90s. It was built when Steinbrenner was not able to touch the team, when he got into his own bullshit with the Dave Winfield situation. As far as this goes, and I don't want this to happen. I want McCarthy to do just good enough to keep him believing that he's the answer, because they will not win with Mike McCarthy.
McCarthy. See, here's the thing about Mike McCarthy and why he didn't win as much as he should have in Green Bay. Okay, great head coach in the regular season. I don't take nothing away from Mike McCarthy, but Mike McCarthy has a tendency to get in his own way. Okay,
for sure.
He did it in Green Bay. He's doing it in Dallas, and plus that system in Dallas that they're running does not suit to their strengths.
I'd have to agree. Defensively, I like what they've done. I'll give them that much. But their O-line is not as good as the typical Dallas O-line.
No.
And I'm sorry, Dak Prescott is not a superhero or a superstar for that matter.
No. I think Zeke in about a year or so he's gonna walk. Because he's getting older. With them not winning and them paying out all this money, they're already in cap hell as we speak. Even with that draft that they just have, and that draft was mediocre that they had. You can't pay Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott all this money because you're going to leave holes everywhere else. So something's got to give. Either Dak Prescott's going to have to be like, "Hey, I'm going to give up, I'll restructure my contract so I get back a portion of money, we can get what we need to compete," or we're going to have to cut Ezekiel Elliott. And that's something that Jerry Jones still hasn't figured out yet, because Jerry Jones cannot get out of his own fucking way. And I'm glad he gets in his own fucking way, because it's not just the Cowboys I hate. It's not, I don't really hate Dallas. I don't like the fans because the fans don't know shit. The team I hate the most is Philadelphia.
Yeah, 1933 is how long that's been going down since. Second oldest rivalry.
Yeah, second oldest rivalry. And people were like, "Well, I hate Dallas." I'm like, "Well, why do you hate Dallas?" "Well, that's our rival." I said, they're not our true rival. Philadelphia is our true rival. Okay, Philly. I hate Philly. I been to that city multiple times. Wearing Giants gear just to piss off the natives and daring them to fight me. Because I'm real quick to be like, "Hey, man, I just got assaulted. Let's lock this motherfucker up." You know what I'm saying? I ain't all about that.
They used to have a fucking holding cell at the old school vet.
Yeah.
And that was like playing tackle football on the concrete.
Yeah. And now, I hate to say that Philly has a shot of winning the NFC East. They probably will, but they won't go as far because Jalen Hurts is not that dude. He's not that guy, man. He's not. He wasn't that guy in college. Because he left Alabama. He couldn't even beat out Tua Tagovailoa. He
Right.
could even beat him out. I mean, come on. What makes you think he's going to be successful, playoff wise in Philadelphia? No, he's not. He's not
No,
that guy.
I tend to agree. I tend to agree with that. This was my final hot take. The Seattle Seahawks, I might be reaching a little, but I don't think I'm reaching really. Will be the worst team in the NFC if they don't make a deal for Baker Mayfield. Not that Mayfield is like some kind of messiah, but he gives them credibility at least, or at least functionality at the QB position. It ain't Geno, and it ain't Drew Lock. The Cleveland Browns will be the worst team in the AFC because of Deshaun Watson's troubles. And once they realize that they're not winning games, they might just tank it out and hope that Watson can find himself on the football field after that historically terrible friggin' bro, I thought it was Bobby Bonilla again. I'm like, he plays quarterback too?
Well, the thing is, with the Deshaun Watson issue, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I just go ahead and sit this out because it's going to get messy. It's already messy enough, and now you in Cleveland, really? You went to go where careers actually die. Okay.
A mistake by the lake.
I got friends that live in Cleveland. They were like, "Yeah, you should come live here." I say, "No, thank you." I say it's too cold. Number one, it's too cold. Number two, there's nothing to do there. Number three, the houses look dilapidated. And number four, I mean, it smells like shit.
The one thing that I will say, I do admire their fan base because they are real. I'll give them that one. I love that about them.
They're passionate. They're passionate.
I'm sorry, Q. 1 second. Wags, what's up, dude?
Yeah, you're good. I'm hearing you. Yeah. What's going on?
Bro, I need you to get into the StreamYard invite. You keep calling me. I'm live.
What am I doing now? Hold on 1 second. Whoa.
Messenger, invite, StreamYard. I sent you about 3 of them over the past 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah. Hold on a second.
Click on that and it'll shoot you in the studio, but I gotta go, dude. I don't know what's going on with Wags.
Yeah, but the show.
That's my final thought on that. That's my final thought, really.
And with Seattle, yeah, you're right. If they don't trade for Baker Mayfield, even if they do trade for Baker Mayfield, they would still be the worst in the NFC because Pete Carroll, I don't think he's gonna be there too much longer. He's like 70 some odd years old, and he's long in the tooth there. And
I'm actually shocked that he's still there because I think that if they could have played things a little differently, maybe Russ. I don't understand the theory here. They chose the coach over the quarterback. When the quarterback still has a quality 4 years ahead of him, I don't think he's going to win shit in Denver. Not because he's not capable, more so because of what's stacked against him.
Right.
But he will bring them back to functionality at the QB position because similar to the Colts, they've had a revolving door at the quarterback position.
They're gonna draft a quarterback next year, no doubt. Along probably with us. I wouldn't say we're gonna have a high draft pick. I would say we would probably be like lower teens. No, not lower teens, upper teens. If we finish like with 8 wins, 7-8 wins, we're going to be like in the upper teens. We're not going to be like, in top 5 anymore.
I'll go as far as saying 9 wins in the NFC, 9 and 8 gets somebody in.
Yeah.
8 and 9 doesn't.
No.
In the AFC, I actually think 10 wins doesn't guarantee you entry because on one of my hot takes on the previous couple of shows, I had mentioned how I believe the Cincinnati Bengals are going to miss the playoffs, not because they're not a quality football team, but I still don't think they did enough on the other side of the ball. And maybe I'm buying a little too high on Baltimore, but I kind of like Baltimore's defense right now.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what Baltimore's problem is. It's Lamar Jackson. I hate to say that, but it's Lamar Jackson. You can win regular season games with him, but come playoff time, he doesn't show up. He's like Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
He reminds
Right.
me of Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't show up. I mean, it's just like, I tell people, it was like, I hear Stephen A. talking, oh, Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. I'm like, man, fuck out of here. Aaron Rodgers is a stat junkie, regular season stat junkie. Okay, that guy, that guy is great in the regular season. Come playoff time, where he just disappears. He's probably doing State Farm commercials while he's throwing the ball. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're going to be this quote unquote legendary quarterback to replace Brett Favre,
You got to be better.
you got to at least get to the Super Bowl at least more than once. He's only been
It's
once.
It's a horrid record in the title game. And no, I'm not going to blame every damn loss on him. I mean, that's the special teams blunder where Bostic got released. I don't even think he made it to the locker room, and they released him after that shit. Last year, they were playing on an ice rink. It was more than Rodgers. He has had the funky luck of missing his best lineman in each of the last 2 NFC title games. I'm not into making excuses because guys got to perform when they're put in these positions. But the Niners were a very lucky team to win that game. But at the same time, the Packers left the door open where that shit could happen. I think their special teams cost them the game last year. Having said that, Matt LaFleur, who's off to a great start historically. I mean, you're looking at Curly Lambeau, Mike Holmgren, the great Vince Lombardi, great lineage of coaches who he has a better winning percentage this way through that part of the season, of multiple seasons, I should say. I'm in the minority that actually believes that even though they lost Devontae, I like what they did on defense as well, as I said, with the Ravens. And that kid Romeo Doubs out of Nevada very much so reminds me of Plaxico Burress.
Yeah. But here's the thing. They should be okay. They should be.
Because one thing he does well is he gets guys going that on other rosters would not even be manning down a number 2 receiver spot. I mean, shit. He's only thrown 1 touchdown to a first-round pick, that being Mercedes Lewis. That's hard to believe. But Rodgers is a great quarterback. I'm not going to say he's not. But to your point, he has to be better in the postseason, similar to even Peyton. Similar to Peyton. I understand that you can make excuses for Peyton to a level with the defenses. But Peyton himself nutted up in a lot of big games.
Yeah.
Whereas later in his career, when he was a Denver Bronco, especially at the very end, they kind of pushed him to the finish line because they had such a phenomenal defense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and here's the thing with Aaron Rodgers, okay? Aaron Rodgers, how old is he? What, 35, 36, something like that?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's 37 now because people forget he sat on the bench behind Brett Favre for 3 seasons. Yeah. So he's kind of a young 37, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Not the same kind of wear and tear of, say, when Eli was 37. Or when Favre was 37. But I might be in the minority, but I'm going to call it way too early, and I'm sure I might adjust my picks, and we're going to be rolling out a big football preview.
Yeah, we're always going to adjust the picks because, you got to take into account that training camp hasn't even happened yet. You know what I'm saying? It's always, we're a month away from training camp. That's when I'm about to really start gearing up and amping up and be like, going crazy and shit. But, I just want to see what Green Bay does if San Francisco will come back from this, from the NFC title loss, how they bounce back from that. Because that's going to be the LA Rams competition. The Rams are the measuring stick right now. They're the hunted now. They were the hunter, now they're hunted. How Kansas City comes back from the AFC debacle. I think Buffalo takes a step back.
You might be in the minority there because some people feel that they've got enough.
No, Buffalo's going to take a step back due to the coaching because the offense court when they lost Dable, I was like, damn, they lost a major voice in that room. Whoever's behind Dable is going to have to fill some huge shoes to get that team back to where they were last year and beyond. And
you do make a solid point because in the past, this has happened to other teams that were in transition. It happened to the Packers during the Favre era where he lost certain coordinators. I mean, shit, it happened to Eli post Gilbride. You know, things like this have occurred over the years. We're coming up on the 10-minute mark, and I want to allow you to really hit on this. I know in addition to being a Giants enthusiast, you are also a massive wrestling fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this shit, Q? I mean, I'll give the quick version, and I'm going to let you ride on this. Vince McMahon, over the years, has paid off people when these kind of sexual allegations have come across. They kind of went to the PG theme when his wife, Linda McMahon, was running for political positions.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the few companies that truly profited, even though the world was in a massive pandemic.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Jason Cade, actually performed for WWE during the pandemic. What are your thoughts on all this? Do you think this is the end for Vince?
Yes, because if you noticed how much posturing he did the past 2 weeks when he was on Raw and SmackDown, you know, the little short speeches and all that, he knew he's coming out as defiant. Most people who are defiant know that they're defeated. Okay. He's got to put on a brave face for the sake of ego. And he's a huge egomaniac, huge narcissist. You could tell by the way he carries himself. You know, I'm a billionaire. You know, I'm untouchable.
The shit with the steroid trial that basically shook that company to its core.
Shit, not even that. Even before that, Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
Yes, good point. Dark Side of the Ring really chronicled that one.
Yeah, he paid off the cops to get Jimmy off the hook, and then it came back closer to when Jimmy was dying and had dementia and whatever. They put him on. I'm like, you're gonna put a man on dementia on trial? I'm like, come on, man, that's not.
He died within 10 days of that, which was really wild. And it's a crazy story. I mean, Vince has done some crazy shit, like even with China. China wanted to get paid like the men when she was a huge entity. And I tell you, for a woman to compete with the boys and be on that level, it was truly incredible.
But here's the thing. A lot of people don't know intergender wrestling does happen. I watch AEW a lot.
Okay.
I'm a huge AEW fan. You know, even though they got a lot of ex-WWE, NXT stars and ex-indie stars, etc.
They give them more individuality, though, to be themselves. Right. And that's important in that industry.
Exactly. See, it's not as controlled as WWE. WWE is micromanaged. That's why I really can't watch WWE because it's too scripted, too micromanaged. AEW, they're looser. It's less restrictive. And even that Bryan Danielson, damn, I get his name mixed up all the time.
And you know why? Because the stage name doesn't carry over to the new company.
Right. And, you know, he says that I want to just bleed. That's what and that's what wrestling should be about. Now, I'm not saying, and I also follow GCW. GCW is like ultra violent. They use light tubes.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to be like looking at New Jack, but at the same time, it was always part of the culture. And that's also something from a realism standpoint that PG product has taken a hit, because even when we were kids, well, you got a few years on me, but the point is, WWE did the PG shit with the Hulkamania era.
Yeah, because remember, you got to remember.
Look at the generations and the age of the male audience. That's a huge part.
They do it because it's for the kids. The kids, because the advertising is towards the parents. The parents are the one who spend the money on the kids. AEW not so much. AEW is for adults because they curse. They're not as violent as GCW. GCW is like underground wrestling where they use light tubes and bust you over the head with light
Oh
tubes.
yeah, I've seen the stuff on YouTube. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, Nick Cage and all of that, and that's what they do. And there's a guy that recently was wrestling. He got stabbed in the arm with a light tube.
I saw that.
and
Dark
he
Side
was
of the
about to
Ring.
bleed out. No, actually, it was 2 weeks ago. He was about to bleed out, and they had to stop the match because he was bleeding profusely. And referee had to like call the guy, "Oh, hey man, he's actually bleeding out," and calm because that guy hit an artery. And they are ultra violent. John Moxley goes there sometimes to wrestle because he again love of blood. Now I get it, the love of blood. I like seeing blood, but I have health concerns when it comes to this because of the hepatitis and AIDS and
Abdullah the Butcher. That I remember hearing that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Bob Orton. Bob Orton has hepatitis.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, he has hepatitis because there was an incident where I forgot somebody. It was a wrestle. He wrestled somebody in WWE like a few years back when Randy Orton was just coming onto the scene, and Bob Orton did not disclose that he had hepatitis and he was bleeding. And the wrestler found out the guy had hepatitis. He was like, "Oh shit, I don't want that." You know what I'm saying? Because that shit fucks with everything. That shit fucks with your liver. That shit fucks with a whole lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
It
could be deadly. I mean,
yeah, it can be deadly.
Like many things.
Yeah, but with AEW, everybody says that they overdo it with the blood. I'm like, no, actually, AEW is doing it correctly because what they're doing, they're building dream matches that people want to see.
And it's not as dated as when WCW was giving us the match that people wanted at Mania 8, talking about Hogan and Flair.
Right.
Hogan is notorious for not wanting to lay down for anybody. We all know about that. And even when he loses, he doesn't really lose. The weird kick out in the Warrior match. Savage reaches the pinnacle, and who's over there soaking up the camera? Good old Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Because it was like that. He was like, because back, I remember in '98 when Sting won, I was at that match in Norfolk, Virginia. No, actually, it was in D.C. Was it D.C.? Yeah, it was. We were in D.C. At the Capitol Center in D.C., what they call the Capitol Center, when Sting finally beat Hogan, and it was a funky finish because Bret Hart came in. Because we were sitting up in the upper deck, I had to have binoculars to see what the action was, but I was there, and I was like, I hope they let Sting win because all this build up to Sting coming from the rafters, Sting coming from the back, and then they had the fake Sting, they had the dummy Sting coming from the rafters. He hit the mat and all this other shit. I was like, I hope they give this guy this title. And then Hogan ended up crying to the officials. Yeah, I didn't finish out strong, So and then then that following Thursday when they had WCW Thunder. JJ Dillon comes out and says, "Hey, we got to, redo you got to turn the belt over. Sting had Sting turn the belt back over, and then put it up for a tournament between Hogan and Sting." I was like, "That's bullshit." Now AEW doesn't have that issue. Tony Khan is doing it correctly because with Tony Khan, with CM Punk being world champion, him being out with a broken foot. All right. Normally, what you would do.
One moment, buddy. What I'm going to do, we're going to have to wrap this under the hour, but I do want to continue this conversation. Give me about 15 to 20, and we're going to run a second video because I want to hear this.
Yeah.
We are out for now, Q. Thank you so much, and we will be back shortly.
Yeah, no problem.
I will be right back. I got to make a quick call.